it's 5 o'clock. Welcome to Watch Symposium. I'm Austin, and that song signifies going home time. So, the last time I was in this park, I made the what I like about watches video, and this is the flip side of that video. This is the what I dislike about watches and watch collecting and my interest in watches. And let me just preface before you thumbs down this video that, look, I'm hopelessly addicted to watches, and I really do like watches, and this is by no means a slight on any aspect of the hobby, but it's sort of just pointing out some of the negative aspects of this hobby. Okay, so the first thing I think is really how well this hobby goes just comes down to money. It's a rich man's interest, and if you've got the cash, you can really excel. There's no skill involved. There's no honing your skills, and yes, you can increase your knowledge, and hunting for that good deal takes an amount of skill, but most of the times it just comes down to cash. And you can compare that to, say, a hobby like playing the guitar or photography. And while good gear is expensive and useful, really skill is the pleasurable thing when it comes to those hobbies, and increasing your skill and bettering yourself. And it doesn't come down to just money. All right, so that's one thing that I dislike. The other is that, and I think it sort of coincides with that, lack of skill aspect, is that it's easy to get dissatisfied with where you are in your watch collecting. It's easy to get bored in a way, and it's easy to want to stave off that boredom by just buying more. And so it's this endless cycle of acquiring, and it's ultimately pretty unsatisfying, for me at least. Now, I'm certainly not the type of collector that Mark Goldberg is. He seems to just be on this sort of journey of acquisition, and quite happy to be there, it seems. Whereas I'm sort of looking for watch nirvana. I'm looking for a state where I am happy with my collection, and I don't want to grow it, and I'm content. And really, it's that's an unattainable goal to aspire to because of the nature of this hobby. Because with most hobbies, if you're not moving, you're stagnating. And what does it mean to move in this hobby? It means to change things up, and to flip this, and to buy this. But I think if you're like me, and you aren't on this sort of endless path of acquisition, but you're more looking for horological enlightenment and peace and happiness with my collection. And like I said, it's with most hobbies, if you're not moving, you're stagnating. And what moving means with a hobby like guitar or photography is getting better and acquiring skills and getting out there and doing it. There's no doing watches. Okay, there's no doing it. There's wearing your watch, and it's very passive. Watches are very passive. They tell you the time, but they don't do a lot. Okay, and you can't use a watch skillfully like you can a camera or a guitar. So What moving really means is buying and selling, and I'm not interested in flipping. I think another thing that I'm really not too keen on is that I really like the idea of one watch and having one watch as your one piece. I love the idea of a one watch collection. You know, if you have one watch, you wear it 365 days a year, and you love it, and you have a relationship with it, and it's like your friend, and I imagine you can become very attached to it, and it's with you through all of your experiences throughout the year. Now, if you get another watch, that's halved, right? That, assuming you divide up that time 50-50, well, that's about, 155 days a year for one watch, and about the same for another. And your relationship with that one watch becomes diluted, and you get three watches, and it's about 120 days a year. I think my math is a bit off, guys. Apologies, but three watches, and assuming you give them all equal attention, each one, and that first watch especially, is the time with is going to become diluted. And I think for me, I love the idea of the one watch that lasts a man for his adult life for years, and you can see it on the watch, and you can see the wear, and you can see his life on the marks in the watch and on the watch, and the watch is in pictures, and the watch just serves him well throughout his life, and he passes it on to his children, and that watch is sort of a symbol of that man's adult life. And if you have a bunch of watches, that legacy is also diluted as well. So I've got 3 Rolex watches. Now, which one is me, right? Which one embodies me the most? Which one would my daughters associate with me? All of them? Maybe, but if I was just wearing, say, the Explorer 2, all the time, this would be my watch, and this would be a very special watch. But, as it is, that specialness is sort of divided between 3 watches. So I sort of have this fairy tale image of the man and his trusty watch, James Bond and his Submariner. He wears it all the time. He wears it with a tux. He wears it on the beach. He wears it his whole life, and it'll last him, and he'll pass it on, and it'll have lots of meaning for him and for his heirs. That fairy tale notion of the man and his watch doesn't really mesh with having a collection of watches. So, in a way, I wish I had just stuck with one watch, because it would be my one watch, and that one watch would be the No Date Sub. But I got greedy, and I thought more would be better, and that's not the case. Now, do I flip the Explorer 2? Do I flip the GMT Master 2? It's almost like I can't now, because I like them too much, and I can't take them out of the collection without feeling a sense of loss. Now, if I had never gotten them, I wouldn't be in that sort of situation. But I think it's good to have one watch and 2, because I think it helps you appreciate that one watch. Because if you wear it day in and day out, if you're not careful, you'll start taking it for granted, and it'll lose some of its significance. And I think maybe having two good watches is good, or even better, having one good watch and just when you need a break, having a few, lower quality watches, a few Vostoks or something like that. That can give you a break from your your main watch, and then you don't have that sense of diluting the specialness of that one good watch, because while you may have a tryst with a Vostok is never going to even begin to take the place of that one good watch. It's a strange hobby, and I'm puzzled sometimes that I'm into it, because there is that lack of skill aspect, and I can't better myself in the way I can playing the guitar or taking pictures. And I guess one other thing that this hobby is lacking is the creative aspect. You can't be really creative with this hobby. I mean, creativity amounts to making a sound collection and a balanced collection. That's it. That's about, I mean, how creative you are with your straps. I mean, creativity, that's what I think is the mark of a really good hobby. So there's the ability aspect, the creativity aspect, and both of those aspects are lacking in this hobby. So anyway, does this signify the end of this fascination with watches? Absolutely not. I'm too fascinated and too far into the hobby for that. But it's interesting to reflect on some of the negative parts of this interest, and but despite that, they are fascinating and functional pieces of art. So hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching. See you next time.